Igor believing us. But to give you the proof that this is not modern, we don't have electricity. One here, okay?
Yeah, you'd have to bring a generator from somewhere.
This is the antiquitous site, so it will be a crime to do this. Number two, what is the benefit? If the Egyptologists are not actually admit this, so what will be the benefit?
Right.
To convince
Why
whom?
come here, cut a piece, make it look like it's a tool, and then...
And if we say that we believe this story, I can't do this because, as I said, it will be a crime, major crime.
And people would see you.
Yeah.
Unless you came here at night,
yes.
but...
In the gate of the pyramid, there are some writings, okay? Many of the Egyptologists, or I can say, let's say tour guide, they don't know who wrote such things, okay? But if you ask any of those people here,
we see a high-tech machining result, then we don't think primitive anymore. So if it's not serving, if it's not built to serve as a tomb, so what's the purpose?
the function.
If it had an activation, there had to be a dynamic design. This dynamic design we still see. And this is like one of the examples. So these channels were running not in a straight line, as you can see, and they used to run under the stone, and they used to be connected to basins, and the basins and the channels used to be connected with copper pipes running under the stones. And the official story of it is that the ancient pharaoh, or like the ancient priest, used it to release the liquids used in worshipping, whatever that means.
In mummification and purification, in any Asian.
Right.
Initiation.
But they admit it is canals, water canals.
The system is there. The system is here and in other structures, and the fact that to have copper pipes running and connected with the basins, I see this also as alchemy, not as like what kind of liquids used in the worshipping. It's not like...
Well, you'd also have to have pressure, right? Because you'd have to push it out of there consistently to go wherever it's going.
Exactly.
So you can have a guy with a pump sitting there?
The valley temples are on the lower level. So there had to be the pressure you're talking about that actually developed the water into the higher levels. And we believe that the shafts underneath the ground could have there is other theories about the pumps, that the two shafts that creates the pressure to elevate the water to higher levels, like a perpetual motion design for it, for the water to be coming to the higher levels. Because when we find water erosion up here, this is not the natural level of the water. The water was down there because
much lower.
There is the valley temples, as you can see.
Are in a higher level.
Design here for how the pyramid structure looks like. This is not the whole pyramid structure. This is the pyramid structure above the ground. Now he didn't do the parts that's under the ground, shafts everywhere that's connecting them. So we have no doubt that the shafts are part of the structure. The shafts underground and the pyramid are one megalithic structure. So this is here, that used to be, if we can call it a temple, that this is the floor of it only. The piece of granite over there, this was a piece of the pillars, and then the ceiling and everything was quarried away. The causeway that's leading to what we know as the Valley Temple, that was not found actually. The one for the Great Pyramid was not excavated yet. But this here is actually also a tunnel. It's not just a road.
It's a tunnel shape.
And it's connected.
Maybe above the ground, but it's covered completely.
Yes, and it's connected with the shafts under, like the one in the middle pyramid, the one that they know as the Osirian shaft, that they call it a symbolic tomb of Osiris, is on the causeway of the middle pyramid, and it's going for 3 levels underground, 3 floors underground, goes to 100 feet deep.
When Yusuf said we have shafts, he is not talking about this pyramid only, about all the pyramids.
All around here, yeah.
Not all the pyramids in Egypt. All have shafts underneath. So it is not just a specific location for something that was, and we found even in the older pyramids more shafts and more networks of shafts underneath.
Yeah. Okay. There is like a network. Muhammad,
in
how old
Saqqara.
is this building?
This building, let's say 40 years old,
Okay.
maximum.
See, when people like to copy, this is 40 years old. They made it with the same color. They put the winged disc with the Hur Bahti, or the disc with the cobras. They made the arched shapes, the pillars. They even added some statues
The
on some
gates
of the
of
sides.
Karnak temples.
Yes, so people like to copy. So when we have also in the dynastic Egyptian that they liked to copy other things from an ancient time.
Sure.
That's what made it so confusing. This is what made it so confusing, because people kept on copying the same traditional things, the same shapes, even if the meanings of it became different later. But that's not what you see in Peru. So in Peru, you find the ancient megalithic civilization, and then the modern primitive one.
Which
big
looks
gap.
very huge.
There is
Yes.
no,
But here the separation
yes.
is you need expert eyes to see the difference.
The Egyptians, the ancient Egyptians during the dynasty time, they developed a very high skill of hand work that became so confusing for everybody, because they saw the handwork and how it was made and everything by hand. But not this. Only that was never depicted, not the circular saw or the tube drill. They were never depicted on papyrus or on the walls, or the tools also were never found. So
And considering they wrote everything down, they would have had to have done
exactly. And when we talked with officials about this, they say to us like mummification was a sacred knowledge.
No, no.
They
Tell him
just-
first. Tell him first,
Huh?
mister. But the man was asking how they make this. So I
He
replied.
found a jar.
Yeah.
This jar, he didn't find it, but he found it in a
found the
museum.
picture, the picture.
Yes, in the museum, and this jar is made from a porphyr stone, like diorite, and it's very solid, and it's related to the pre-dynastic civilization of Naqada II. That's around between 3,500 BC. So that's even more ancient than dynastic
yes.
Egypt. And we know how these basins were made. They were made with tube drill, and we have the evidence. We have everything. So when
So he was asking how they
asked,
make it.
how can this be?
Pre-dynastic means primitive. Not even copper.
Yeah.
didn't-
Right.
wasn't
Automatically, it's
used.
associated.
So
Yeah.
he was asking why or how.
So we told him that there was
High-tech
a
machine.
high-tech machining, and I showed him the pictures. How did the pharaohs showed how they made it, and
How
how
they
it
made
was
their
really
yeah.
made from an unfinished one in the Petrie Museum in England. That shows the core is like a tubular drill in the middle of it. So it lifted the core of the stone. So it was also unfinished. This is like an unbeatable evidence. This is the real piece, and it shows the marking of a tube drill so clear. So I showed him this. So he started to say like this again, like mummification was like a secret knowledge that nobody shared it.
Yeah.
Okay, I agree. He's right, but we found mummification tables
Yes.
and mummification tools.
We found details.
You know, we found the,
Why
the,
they
the
show
tools.
some and hide some.
Yeah, even if they didn't write it down, they didn't depict it, but we found the tools. We found the tables, the stuff they used to
Right.
use. We didn't know how they used it, but we found what they used during the process of mummification. But in this case, we found the result of the machining on the stone. We never
no
found it
tools.
depicted, or we never
Or the
found the tools. So this is
So it was
And it's so smooth on the inside.
yeah.
That's crazy.
Right before the Holy of Holies, to your right hand. So when you go, you see
huge.
it's like this big. But the blade. Tomorrow to Abu Sir, inshallah, I'm gonna show you also another marking of the circular saw that shows that this circular saw was at least 5 meters wide.
Wow.
That we don't
15
use.
feet wide.
the same like the one in the museum.
There is no doubt.
Oh, wow.
And, yeah, and the edge. Yes.
The
Yeah,
sinking, the sinking edge here will tell you how thick the blade is. That's how we understand.
Wow.
Even the blade will be less than that, because like the stone that's eaten away